Hello, everyone. Welcome to another enlightening edition of Hardfire TV, our monthly program about classical liberal ideas. My name is Cameron Weber. Thank you for watching our show. Today, we're going to talk about local mayoral local electoral politics in New York City. In early November, in about 1 month's time, right, Matthew? In about one
3 weeks,
month's
yeah.
time, 3 weeks, in early November 2025, there's an election for mayor and for city council. Today, we're going to talk about local politics. This year is very interesting because there is an overt socialist running for mayor who's actually looks like he's going to win, right?
Correct.
Okay. Of course, the ultimate goal of socialism is to make everything free for everyone, at least until the money runs out. To help discuss the right and wrong ways to achieve real affordability in New York City, I welcome to the show Matthew Morgan. Matthew, welcome.
Cameron, always a pleasure to be here.
Right. Matthew is, I was the chair of the Brooklyn Libertarian Party, and about 10 years later, Matthew was the chair of the Brooklyn Libertarian Party.
Yep.
And you are, you're running for office.
Correct. City Council District 39 in Brooklyn, near Barclays Center. That's usually a good epicenter that people can wrap their heads around.
Oh, yeah, around Barclays Center, yeah.
Yeah.
And, which is
Park
one
Slope.
neighbor, Park Slope, yeah. And
Yeah.
Gowanus.
Yep. Gowanus,
The up and
Carroll
coming Gowanus.
Gardens,
Yeah,
Cobble Hill,
yeah.
Kensington, Windsor Terrace, all those.
All those upscale places.
Some
Carol,
parts, yeah,
I wanted
definitely.
to move to Carroll Gardens, but I couldn't afford it. So Matthew has made several shows with us under the privatize everything theme, and where the current leading mayoral candidate wants to socialize everything. I'm a free market economist, so I'm inclined to agree with most of Matthew's ideas. And so welcome. So again, this is a show of ideas. And also Matthew's website is VoteMatthewMorgan.NYC. But this is not a political campaign show. This is more about the ideas of why socialism is not really a good idea. Back to that, Matthew, I wanted to ask you on the socialist thing. You think it's a good idea if New York City has a overtly socialist mayor so that we can once and for all learn again, this generation, the history lesson that socialism doesn't work? So in other words, some people say, oh, forget it, just let him win and show that won't work.
Well, I think Mondami's, most likely he will win. And when he does, it's not going to work for one of two things. Either, like you said, run out of money. I mean, especially with Trump threatening to cut funding if he wins for projects. And also, I just think socialist policies don't work for very long, depending on, you can pick and choose,
Well, people leave. People leave. The wealthy leave because they don't want to be taxed. So then you're stuck with people who don't create any wealth, and that just leads to a downfall.
I mean, I don't think there's really enough statistics I've seen that, but I don't think people will stay. I mean, it's New York City. Can't really replicate New York City. I think that's
Now,
the
your
one thing New
pride of
York
place is
City.
talking. Yeah, that's your pride of
Yeah.
place. Definitely,
I think
definitely.
people definitely will stay, and but I definitely think if he wins, the policies won't work, but also the powers that be will kind of see to it that he doesn't succeed, because a lot of what he talks about relies upon getting approval from the state. And
Right.
Kathy
Right.
Hochul
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah.
up for re-election, and she's getting primaried by somebody who seems very progressive and charismatic. So she's going to not really want to. She's got to really balance a line
Right.
between
She has to
winning the
thread the
Democratic.
needle.
Yeah, she doesn't want to stifle Mondami too much that it pisses off the left of New York City, which is a huge part of her base. But also, she doesn't want to piss off the general population that isn't Democrat in the rest of the state, with certain policies. So
Right.
I'm not really that worried about Mamdani, just because I feel like it's just going to be, he might do one or two things, but it's going to be status quo for the most
Pretty much.
part.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Good, good. So you're your sense it doesn't really matter because it won't be socialist, so it won't be a grand failure.
Right,
And New York will survive just like we survived in the 70s. But
right.
the thing about whatever,
Stagnant.
yeah, whatever his name
Yeah.
is, I'm not going to say his name is going to be the next mayor of New York City, but isn't he a hypocrite in terms of he doesn't want Airbnb, yet he personally has an Airbnb unit?
Oh, I haven't heard that part, but I mean, that
Yeah,
would be hypocritical. Yeah.
yeah. His family has an Airbnb. Okay, so first I'd like to start by addressing the elephant in the room. Socialism is impossible under political system of democracy. Socialism creates authoritarianism because the state redistributes resources under duress at the point of a gun. The state becomes the sovereign instead of the people being the sovereign. There are more renters than there are landlords, so socialism seems like a good idea to the masses, but in the end, it leads to the gulag. Yeah. Well, or at least it leads to your Hardfire TV programs being censored by YouTube. I can say
Right.
that. Okay, Matthew, can you tell us how you got interested in the problems of the city and then therefore how to address the problems of the city? What's your motivation to become a politician?
Right. Well, I mean, everybody, from a local level, state level to federal level is constantly talking about affordability because for the first time in I think a very long time, affordability is now an issue for everybody.
Yeah,
From
that big spike in inflation in 2022.
correct. So
Yeah,
everybody's feeling it.
definitely.
Nobody feels rich anymore. There's people, in wealthy areas who, are talking like they are low income and blah, blah, blah.
Well, healthcare
And
is one reason too, but the list goes on and on.
right. And, mortgages and everything like that.
Mortgages, the interest rates are back up again. Yeah.
Right. So every politician who is running is not running to make things more affordable. They're just making it to be more affordable for the average citizen, which is
Right.
a short-term solution. I mean, short-termism is absolutely a chaotic
That is
policy.
politics, though. The
Yeah,
politicians needs to get elected every 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, whereas
exactly.
long-term capital projects, 30 years.
Right.
So,
But I mean, essentially, it's just like if I went to a steakhouse and I spent $250 on a meal and I couldn't afford it, I only had like 40 or $50. My
yeah,
friends were like, "Hey, I'll cover you."
yeah,
That meal that doesn't mean that a meal is affordable to me. I can't go to people and be like, "Oh, it's actually pretty affordable. It's like 40, $50." It
yeah.
just means that someone else is covering it. And it's the same
Well,
thing with everything else, whether it's food, whether it's
everything
groceries, whether it's transportation, all
is
these things they want to make affordable.
yeah.
It doesn't mean they are actually solving
Affordable,
the issue. Right. They're not actually making them more affordable.
like
They're
the
just
Inflation Reduction Act was caused inflation.
correct.
Affordable makes the United States
And
37
Kathy
trillion.
Hochul sent out those, I got $150 check for the inflation
Exactly.
check from Kathy Hochul. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, this is counterintuitive, but thank you, I guess. Like I did pay taxes, so I should
Okay,
get
so
this
so
money
Matthew,
back. But
Matthew, you've shown your economic. You're also an economist, right, or finance person, something.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
passion project. I made the Mo Money YouTube show, but
Ah,
I don't have a degree in it.
oh, which means you're good at it. No, there was a study, a survey. It's actually someone who was on my dissertation committee, Ario Clemmer. He did a survey of economists, and like 90% of the people said, "Oh, you don't need to know anything about the economy to get a PhD in economics."
Oh,
All it is math games.
right. So I'm not good at
Yeah.
math.
So you came to the part of the reason that you're a city person is because you made a conscious decision to move to New York.
Correct.
So you're in
I really enjoy the urban lifestyle,
yeah,
mass transit,
you're
everything,
enveloping
the
yourself in the
dense,
community. Yeah,
right.
yeah, walk it right. Uh, okay, so you're running for city council, and
Correct.
who is your opponent, and why would you be better? Is your opponent one of the radical left, or is she just not-for-profit centrist?
She's definitely of the radical left.
Okay.
I mean, but the thing is, she doesn't do anything.
Which is
I
could be a
gave
good thing, I think.
right, yeah. I mean, She doesn't do anything. She doesn't show up. She's been showing up lately, but that's only because the election has been coming up.
Right.
And, I didn't talk bad about, her last time I ran because, there wasn't really anything bad to talk about. She hadn't done anything. But, this time around, I've seen it. I'm part of the mutual aid group. She hasn't really shown up for the
She doesn't show up in
migrants.
your neighborhood. You're known in your neighborhood. Yeah. You're
Right.
there in the neighborhood and she doesn't show up. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'm in the neighborhood in many different facets, and
Mutual aid group.
mutual aid, small businesses,
Yeah.
other things. Yeah.
Well, to be
Helping
a
the
mainstream
migrants.
Democrat, you have to, you have to rub elbows with large insurance companies and large labor unions. Walking
Right.
around the neighborhood, a residential neighborhood isn't really where your money is.
Right. Or your votes.
Or yeah. Before we get into the specifics of affordability, I'd like to address this idea of libertarianism, or what is sometimes known as classical liberalism. Libertarianism rejects the socialism of the left and the anti-immigration of the right, and rejects the crony capitalist of both left and right. Is that a fair assessment of your platform?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, right. So, it's weird to people think of libertarians as extremists or radicals, but in fact, libertarians are in the middle of the road because they don't
Right.
adapt the extreme positions of the Republicans or the extreme. But I think people are slowly starting to wake up to this. There's more independents now than there are Republicans or Democrats.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to affordability. First off, some people believe New York City is the best city in the world, and of course, it's the city of immigrants. Under supply and demand, when the demand for something is high, the price is high. Of course, New York City is expensive. People want to live here. So you would expect things to be expensive.
I don't agree with that. I mean, the thing is, like, if you look at anything, there's a lot of people here, yes, but that means we should be able to get a lot of things, which should lower prices. I mean, the only thing that's really stifling things is the government, puts the strangleholds.
Right. Nonetheless, the point is that it's more expensive to live in the city than it needs to be due to bad
Correct.
city politics.
Correct.
Matthew looks at these bad policies and offers alternatives. Thank you for your help in writing the script, by the way. Good idea. Let's visit Matthew's website. You can see that his first important category is housing affordability.
Correct.
The median cost of a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn is about $45,000 a year. One-bedroom apartment costs $45,000.
Right.
I'm not going to ask how much yours cost. Mine, when I was living,
mine's 2,600. I have roommates, but
I was paying 1,100 for a number of years ago for a place down right near the Brooklyn Queens Expressway.
okay, yeah.
So that 45,000 is and then the median income is about 80,000 per person per year.
Right.
So people in New York are paying more, 2/3 of their after-tax income for housing.
Right. They say revolutions start when you start spending more than 40% on rent.
Yeah, and land reform. I mean, land reform is the key to change in politics. Very
right.
Good. So after New York City sales tax of 9%, that doesn't leave a lot of income for anything else.
Correct.
So in a nutshell, Matthew, the key to housing affordability is deregulation or dezoning, correct?
Correct.
Right. So what really got me to realize that Matthew knows what he's talking about is this video I'm going to show you that let's watch this video Matthew made, which brings awareness about the importance of zoning in the city. It's about the housing situation in Matthew's neighborhood of Gowanus, Brooklyn.
How you doing? My name is Matthew Morgan. I am the city council candidate for Brooklyn's 39th district. Today I am here in Gowanus. It is a beautiful day. It is a very sunny day. I had to throw the shades on. And as you can see behind me, there is a lot of new apartments, a lot of new construction, thanks to the 2021 Gowanus rezoning that is predicted to bring over 8,000 new units into the neighborhood and 20,000 new residents. And even though 1/3 of it is set aside as affordable, it is still financially out of reach for a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of people in this neighborhood. And a lot of people say that the reason that these apartments are so expensive is because the city is only building luxury apartments. But the thing is, these apartments, they're not luxury. They don't have marble floors. They have an in-unit washer dryer. Anywhere else in the United States, that is considered normal. But here in New York City, that's luxury, baby. And the reason is 35% of the current housing stock was built before 1960. The city is woefully behind in the amount of needed new housing units to keep up with the current population and with modern times. A lot of these old buildings, they need repairs and they need renovations. And although it is awesome that the city is building so much new housing in this neighborhood, it is only a drop in the bucket in the amount of new housing needed across the city. And although we are building more housing, when we do build, we need to make sure that we are building better, we are building smarter. And that means we need to build near mass transit, we need to build near jobs, because that is how you make the city more affordable. That is how you increase the quality of life for all New Yorkers, because who doesn't want lower rent? And who does not want a shorter commute to work? And the way that we make this possible is by abolishing zoning, making the city more flexible. It is the way that we can make New Yorkers be able to tell developers where they want to live and the type of housing that they want to live in, instead of having City Hall tell New Yorkers where they can live and what type of housing that they can live in.
Great. I think the main takeaway here is that if we abolish zoning, then it will be individuals in exchange with others that'll determine the supply and demand of housing stock instead of socialist city planners. The less the city is involved, this means the less corruption, correct?
Correct.
But it's not just the corruption that we're interested in, it's the supply and demand and the flow and development of the city.
Right. And yeah, right now they're restricting flow based off the 1969 zoning code, and the only way we can build new housing is by rezonings, and those are often in a small condensed area, maybe like 6 blocks by 6 blocks, sometimes bigger. But the thing is that causes, the developers are like, well, there's a lot of demand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to build 30 stories if I want to be able to make a dent in that demand.
Right.
I can't build a 6-story.
So that's the 1969 law is what you're talking about, prevents building up.
Correct.
And
the I think it was 1911 or 1912 zoning code that they implemented, they said was enough would have allowed upwards of 50-60 million people in New York City.
Wow.
And then when they made the 1969 one, it was about 12 million people. And right now we're at 8 million. So it's really
We've been 8 million since 1911, I think.
Right. No, wait, I think in the 50s or 60s is when it got there. But
11.
yeah, it's been.
Yeah, it went up to 11, and then it went up to 9 million, and now like anything, it depends how you measure it. But it's like the holding capacity in New York City is about 8 million.
Right. With the current housing, but it could be more.
Yeah, it could be more. Something you mentioned also in the video, but de-emphasize, is that 30% of the units that are built are set-asides for low-income people or even medium-income people.
Right.
I hear sometimes you have to wait 10 or 15 years on a waiting list before you can get one of these set-asides. Do you think these set-asides are a good idea or a bad idea?
I mean, I always say I'm not really that concerned about them. I mean, they're short-termism. I'm much more about building a lot more. But the thing is, if it's a political compromise, it's like, okay, if that's what you guys want, if I can build more, we'll give 30% of them. Yeah. That's fine with me. I'm not really that concerned. I'm not going to fight them on that.
Well, yeah, I don't like that because that just gives the city, it's supposed to be a private building, but 30% is owned, is controlled by the city. That's not a private building. That's
right.
Corporatism. That's not the market.
That's fair.
Yeah. So when you say deregulate zoning, do you mean getting rid of these city-controlled set-asides, or that's not important to you?
That is what I mean, yeah.
Okay, so get rid of the set-asides, and actually private development is actually private development.
Correct.
And yeah, speaking of the right and wrong ways to make something affordable is the current person who's going to be mayor wants to freeze rents, right?
Correct.
6 million, I guess 2 million people in the city own their own housing, 6 million people rent. What
Right.
happens when you freeze the rents, then the landlords don't have any money to upgrade the apartment.
Correct.
Things start leaking, windows get broken, fixtures
Correct.
work, refrigerators leak, right? So it may be looks like it's affordable, but really it really destroys your standard of living.
Right. And that was back in the 1930s or 1940s when the mayor, I think it was LaGuardia or somebody, said 10 cents forever for the subway.
Yeah,
And
LaGuardia, he's the mayor.
yeah,
He was the Roosevelt New Deal guy. Yeah.
right. And then once he left office, it went from like 10 cents to a quarter because there was so much renovation, so much repairs that had to be done on the subway because they had stalled it to keep it
Yeah.
at 10 cents. So it's the same thing with the rent freeze.
Short-termism. Yeah, short-term.
Correct.
Right. In economics, you call that big projects.
Oh,
You get a $10 billion price tag, but 30 years later, it's really 60 billion.
correct.
Yeah. Okay. In this next video, Matthew specifically talks about how politicians have the incentive to gentrify the poorer neighborhoods through rezoning these neighborhoods.
Correct.
We find that a better idea is to abolish zoning citywide instead of the city picking winners and losers neighborhood by neighborhood.
God dang it. I've been sitting on this roof for the past hour in 90-degree weather trying to get the sun and this magnifying glass to light this map of Brooklyn on fire. Now you may be wondering why? Why would I do that? And the reason is simple. I was trying to create a stunning visual representation of the absolute dumpster fire that is the New York City rezoning process. Now I circled some of the more popular and major rezonings in Brooklyn over the past couple decades. Now, what usually happens is that the city will pick these poorer areas. Why? Because politicians don't care about helping poor people, and they sure as hell don't care about hearing from poor people. So they can just kind of do whatever they want in these areas. And what this does is that it kicks gentrification into hyperspeed. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what should we do? How can we stop this? Just not build new housing? No. What we need to do is abolish zoning. The way that helps is instead of having these neighborhoods get so overheated and gentrification to run rampant, is we just allow new housing to be built everywhere across Brooklyn and across the city. Instead of having these massive buildings built in every neighborhood, we'll start to see more normal 6 and 10 story buildings all across the city because it'll even out the demand. Every neighborhood will take in new housing.
Matthew, yes, that's a good example of how Democrat politicians ignore the poor and only want their vote and don't really want to help the poor. Hypocritical platitudes, I call it. Poor areas have more pollution and less quality city services. And
Correct.
yes, excellent idea. If you abolish zoning citywide and let it be handled through exchange, you don't have the rich getting richer while the poor are getting poorer. It is the rich who donate to political campaigns. It is harder for entrenched politicians to leverage special interest if you deregulate housing citywide. Yeah.
Correct.
This also means simplifying and speeding up the permit process, correct?
Correct. Definitely.
Yeah, the permit process is the logjam by which corruption is negotiated.
Yep. And the rezoning process itself, getting all the approvals of everything for every little thing. It's like, let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, so you're in it for the long term, obviously.
Right.
You're going to see this zoning thing in one way or another. Oh, great. So I think I can summarize your main points. 1, the abolishment of neighborhood zoning. 4, a citywide no zoning approach, which will bring more and more affordable housing. And 2, the neighborhood approach is a form of divide and conquer that creates special interest groups for politicians. Can you tell us so we've discussed how to make housing affordable. Can you give us some of the bad ideas that are being proposed, how not to make housing affordable? We already talked about freezing rents.
Right. I mean, that one's a big one. I mean, anything with that involves the government themselves building it. I mean, that's always at a higher price tag. And
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
There is no incentive for profits.
right.
Basically, I'm more radical than you are, but this, basically the city of New York is a make works program for labor unions.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, we just have 1 minute left. I'd like to thank Matthew Morgan for appearing on Hardfire TV to discuss the right and wrong ways to make New York City affordable. For more information, see VoteMatthewMorgan.NYC. Great to have you on the show again.
Cameron, always a pleasure. Excited for the next episode we do together.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. I mean, that went off.
I know.
Our show appears on the Free Speech Network through Brick Arts Media House 6 times per month. This one will air 1 week from today. We also have more than 75 programs about classical liberal ideas on YouTube channel. Just search for Hardfire TV and Brooklyn Free Speech. See you next time.